All right, time now for our daily rant, looking at Barack Obama as the not-so-great communicator. During the campaign, his speeches captivated our nation, but 2 years later, many have tuned the president out and accused him of not saying anything at all. King features syndicated columnist Bob Franken here with a look at what may have gone wrong. Take it away, Mr. Franken. How are you, sir?
Hello. And you call it a rant. I would prefer to consider it as thoughtful commentary.
So it will be.
But the question really is, how could it be that the rock star candidate, Barack Obama, the man whose words inspired so many millions in the campaign and moved so many mountains, would morph into a president who suddenly can't even move an anthill, or legislation that would seem to be a no-brainer? A great communicator, he is not. How else can we explain his inability to roll right over the Republicans for their insistence on keeping the taxes for America's wealthiest artificially low? I mean, for heaven's sake, the fat cats are getting to keep too much of their kibble thanks to their buddies in the Republican Party. Everybody else should be up in arms, but instead, the GOP members of Congress have managed to confuse the issue so much that middle-class Americans have been deceived into believing they get burned unless the upper classes get to hoard more of their treasure. The country is in a deep financial problem right now, and a little bit more from those who still manage to prosper wouldn't hurt them a bit, and it would sure help everybody else to the tune of, say, $700 million over 10 years, which is chump change for them, but real money for those lower down the ladder. This is not a tough message to sell, at least one would think it's not. But somehow, the great campaign orator, Barack Obama, has become something of a mumbler. And in the process, he's allowing us to go backwards, where them that gets, and the rest of it gets, well you know, Dylan.
So, to what do you attribute the communication failure?
Well, this is my grand theory.
Healthcare, banks.
Well, this is my grand theory, and maybe it's envy, but I think maybe the man is too smart for politics. I mean, I'm going to say this delicately, but sometimes one of the explanations why anchormen are sometimes viewed as all Ted Baxters, present company accepted, of course, is that they're too dumb to know how many things could go wrong. And I think sometimes that the successful politician is the one who is really just able to keep it simple-minded and not think about all the ramifications.
If you were to look, though, in other words, you're saying his inability to communicate clearly is because this is your hypothesis.
My grand
is
theory,
because his brain interferes with the simple communication.
This man is a professor at heart. He almost has the disadvantage of a great education, and I think that politically sometimes that can be harmful.
But I mean, come on. You know, I mean, a great education is never a disadvantage if you're going to attempt to be in charge or attempt to lead something where being informed and having a problem-solving skill set is of value, and he certainly appears to have it. In other words, there's an argument that his behavior is less a function of his failure and is more a function of the broken nature of the entire political system, that even if he wanted to do it, he couldn't do it.
Well, yes, the political system is broken, and the coverage of the political system is broken, but let's look at Bill Clinton. This is a man, of course, who was well-educated, notwithstanding his personal issues, had a real I feel your pain kind of empathy, even though he went to Ivy League and all this kind of thing. And yet, he was able to somehow do that. Barack Obama, in the estimation of many people, doesn't have that. He's too cool and detached.
Is that an intellectual problem or an emotional problem? Because you could argue that Bill Clinton was more able to and more willing to emote, to your point, to connect, and he's Mr. Cool.
Well, I don't know. All I know is that one of the hallmarks of a good leader, beyond being able to dissect all the complicated issues of the day, is an ability to create a consensus. I think it is obvious that that is not happening as much anymore.
So how would you help him?
How would I help him? Yeah. Well, I would suggest that he do what so many of us in our business do, and that's dumb down a little bit.
And so you're saying a simpler message that is repeated, basically take a cue from Sarah Palin and just alter your message, but take the same basic tactic.
Well, that's kind of painful, I suppose, but the fact is that she has been able to succeed, and I don't think it's any accident that this was a television sportscaster at one time.
Meaning that Sarah Palin's simplicity and stupidity, effectively, in her presentation is an advantage.
Well, I'll accept simplicity. Right. I'm not going to be suicidal and call.
Fair enough. Me neither. Who knows? But the simplicity is a huge advantage for sure. Bob, a pleasure.